wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
This better not awaken anything in me.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
I'm responsible for my own happiness. I can't even be responsible for my own breakfast.
We have Santa Claus. Assemble.
Welcome to the Nerd Out, our deep dive into all things nerdy entertainment. This one's in front of the paywall, y'all. It's for everybody because we're disclosing it because it's Disclosure Day. Riley Trahan, Deepak Chitnis, Bruno Meneses, Jackson Trahan. We got the whole gang here. We're talking Steven Spielberg's new movie, Disclosure Day, which is in theaters, and we've all seen. We're all here to review. It's going to be lots of spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, get out now. But I thought we could start the conversation with this prompt. What power would you guys want from the aliens?
No.
I'd want to be really good at billiards. I'd want to be like crazy good at pool.
Do you think they would give you that?
Sure, why not? It seems
I feel like they would be
I don't
disappointed.
think they
in
were
that
giving
ask.
them out sort of willy-nilly.
You think they just do math and empathy?
I think they'd
think
be
they
like, wouldn't you want something more profound than just wanting to like hustle guys in a pool hall? Like,
I'm already pretty empathetic and I'm already pretty good at math. So
true.
I was trying to think of like where my shortcomings are. I'm not very good. I'm not very good at pool.
The one thing you've got left.
But that's just me. What about you, Jack? What would you want to be better at after you, this isn't a bit. We're all going to take turns sharing this. This is how we're starting our Disclosure Day episode.
I don't know. Well, I kind of agree that I'm not sure how it works, but
I'm not really sure what
I
the
could
rules
just
are
pick
either,
one
yeah.
thing to improve at.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that other people. I don't know that I want like super empathy power, but I like that other people can see her as other people. Like if I could get shape-shifting, that would be pretty cool.
I sort of thought maybe you were gonna like just be able to speak all languages, but you went with psychic
pretty good, too.
camouflage, which is another.
But that's all right.
cool
That's
one.
already one of them. I don't want to take one from that's in the movie.
Sure. Yeah. No, psychic camouflage is a good one. Deepak, what's your alien superpower?
I would want to.
The ability to grow bad mustaches.
Wow. No.
Well, I mean, you already have. I'm saying because you lack it. Because right now you have the ability to grow good mustaches.
Right. So I mean, if I have the ability to go good, it doesn't.
Maybe
take
you don't.
much
No,
for
that's
to go
right. It would
bad.
be a waste. I hadn't. It's a great point. Don't do
That's
that
the
one.
thing.
Mine was a bad
I would want
suggestion.
the ability to somehow look into the past. I don't want to go to the past. I don't have
okay.
to like physically
Sort of a
travel.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, I don't know if they really traveled to the past in that one, but
I don't remember what happens when they all spin around at the end.
They just
just spin?
The UFO takes off. Yeah, I don't think they. You're talking about the last one, the Dial of Destiny. They go back.
That's right. Dial of Destiny is the one where he gets to see the past. Bruno, alien superpower.
Honestly, teleportation.
Perfect. What a great way to start our
Just wants to be
Disclosure Day
Nightcrawler.
episode. Let's talk
Definitely
about the movie.
teleportation.
Guys, this is Steven Spielberg's most recent film. It is the first film since Fabelmans. He took a pretty big break after Fabelmans, which I think was surprising, but maybe made a little bit of sense. It was Bruno's making a face. A big break for him. My guy's usually out here
years.
like it was 4 years. 4 years is a big break for him. Historically, his longest break was 93 to 97. And that was after he made Schindler's List and Jurassic Park.
He also made
So-
two movies in '97 too. So yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just saying he's usually right out the gate with another one is all I mean to say. And this one he took a little bit of a break but he came back with a whopper of a film, Disclosure Day, which I think sort of in a lot of ways borrows from all of his filmography. We of course are going to talk a lot about how it is his fourth proper alien movie. E.T., Close Encounters,
War of the
Indiana
Worlds.
Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and War of the Worlds. I guess they're 4 and then this would be 5.
It would be.
But there's also, I mean, there's so much like Spielberg-y stuff. Like there's so much like Minority Report all over this movie. There's so much of The Post all over this movie. There's so much like old and new Spielberg all over this movie. So of course we had to check in with it and talk about it a little bit. So to properly start off the episode, why don't we go around the horn and everybody just kind of give their top level thoughts about what they thought. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? What did you think about it? Sort of a letterbox style review. And that'll, I think, just give us some material to kick off our conversation. Deepak, as our chief movie critic, why don't we begin with you?
Yeah, my Letterboxd review literally echoed exactly what you just said, where I said it felt like Spielberg's greatest hits. It has the paranoia of The Post in Munich. It has kind of the chase aspects of Minority Report, Catch Me If You Can, Indiana Jones in terms of action, Jurassic Park in terms of kind of the wonderment of what you're seeing there, things that you've never seen before. And then, like you said, with Close Encounters and E.T., he kind of returns to that at the end with the sort of, I guess, at the risk of spoiling things, it's an optimistic outlook on what that situation might be. Some would say overtly, almost comically optimistic, given the world that we currently live in. And I think he sort of pays some tangential lip service to the things of like, oh, is this AI? Is this real? Could we be actually seeing this? But at high level, not to ramble, I did like it. I liked it a lot. I don't think it quite nailed everything. There are some logical inconsistencies, some narrative gaffes, but those are relatively minor in the grand scheme of things. I think in terms of what it was going for on the ideas side of things and just sort of the thematic material that it wanted to explore, I thought it really nailed that. And then, of course, from a filmmaking standpoint, I mean, some of the camera work he's doing here is like Tintin stuff. It's crazy. Yeah. And he's been doing that with like West Side Story and all sorts of stuff recently. He's Ready Player One, of course. So, yeah, there's a lot of Spielberg in here, but if you're going to steal from the best, especially when the best is yourself. So
Yeah, absolutely. Bruno, hop in there. You were...
sort of bouncing off of Deepak's review as well as my Letterboxd review. It's like almost like I usually call it like it's a Spielberg level of optimism that you see across all of his movies. And here it's dialed to an 11 where it kind of like it helps some bits, it hurts some bits. And that's my main issue with the movie is just like when it comes to like just the story and the script. But I genuinely enjoyed everything else. And again, like the cinematography, I think this is some of Janusz's best work, or at least it's the best way we could have seen some of his work, because it's not in like a fantastical world or like a futuristic world for once. It's actually like in a very like grounded setting, and you can actually like follow it very closely and see all of these weird tricks that he's doing throughout. And I really, really enjoyed that, like mostly more than anything else. And it's just fun seeing like Spielberg with all of his like freaking collaborators, like from Janusz to John Williams. But
Michael
yeah,
Kahn.
Again, just going off of my Letterboxd review, I did say like this is a great movie trapped inside of a good one. But again, it is still a good movie.
What'd you think, Jack?
I thought it was neat. I liked
kid's got potential.
it for the most part. I do think I didn't love all of it. I'm probably more critical than most of you, it sounds like, but I was talking to Bruno about this a little bit. I still haven't settled on my actual Letterboxd review because I wanted to let it ruminate a little bit. But I do think you're right. It's a very optimistic film. Some parts of that I liked. And I think in general, like I think the broader message works. I'm just not sure I loved every method of delivery that it chose. But we can get more into it.
Yeah, it's definitely cluttered in a way, which I'm sure we'll get into as we get into the nitty gritty of it.
There are a lot of ideas in this movie, right? We are sort of on the brink of World War III, a super shady corporation with too much access to government information and surveillance has been spying on people and keeping things a secret from us. Our two heroes, sort of such as they are, the Emily Blunt and Josh O'Connor characters, are both grappling not just with American accents that sort of continue to buck underneath them, but also with personal relationships that ostensibly we're told are important, but then it kind of is hard to follow how important those relationships actually are. Then they kind of drift into each other's lives, and it becomes kind of, not just important who they are now, but who they are historically to each other. And yeah, I think how you have to weigh like that clutter and like how you end up kind of mentally sorting it and aggregating it as you go through in the movie might have a lot to do with how much you enjoy it. Because yeah, I think you guys are absolutely right. There are a lot of ideas in this movie. One of the things I wasn't really sure what to do with was like the whole God of it all, right? Like of course, Spielberg has always been a person who is sort of like cinematically fascinated with ideas of the divine. you know, especially since he started working more closely with Janusz Kaminski, like a lot of the cinematography and like the stuff that Janusz brings to Spielberg films can sort of be ethereal and sort of suggestive of the divine in that way, right? These shafts of light coming into a room kind of in the perfect moment, in the perfect way.
Or even just before that, like Last Crusade.
Yeah, right. Oh,
Very-
yeah, exactly.
very
The whole
overtly.
Indiana
Yeah.
Jones, everything, right? Like it's always been there. So I'm kind of wondering, like, what do you guys make of it? Maybe it's also seeming heavy to me because of the Josh O'Connor of it all, right? We just saw him play a torn up priest
yeah.
in
It was
Knives
interesting,
Out at
right?
the end of last year.
They even
Right.
used the word Monsignor,
He's really
which
good,
is a
by the
word
way.
I hadn't heard before that film. So I was like, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's really good, by the way. I was kind of down on him when he first came out because I don't really trust any of these actors who come out of like impersonating the royal family on that Netflix show, but he's actually pretty good.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, the
I thought you
question
were
was
gonna say
about
with curly hair.
No, I don't have a problem with curly hair. The God thing of it all is really the most interesting thing about it. The idea for a long time in the conspiracy theory circles is that, of course, aliens have been here and the government is covering it up. And why would they cover it up? Oh, it's because it'll totally undermine the religious underpinnings of the entire world, and society won't be able to handle that. But the scene that I really liked, and I haven't read the Bible, so those of you who have, please let me know if she was right when she said this. The thing about humans being God's supreme beings on Earth. And you know, when you know, grown up Maddie Ross tells her that over the phone, then that was kind of an interesting little moment in the movie, which kind of seemed to drive home the whole thing. But then at the end, with the message that the alien is trying to impart on us, that also felt like the kind of message a god would impart on its subjects. And then you go back to, are these the things that we've been worshiping all along?
Yeah.
Which is cool. Which is very Chariots of the Gods, which is very Eric Von Daniken, which is, it's been something that's been grappled with for centuries.
And it's me, you know, it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, maybe this is just like Spielberg's like boomer energy showing, and like this is just what we have. Like this is just part and part. Like it comes with the whole deal. If you're gonna have the greatest storyteller of your time be like, you know, a man of a certain age, right? That like he's gonna have sort of these outlooks on life. The idea that like, oh, what if the aliens were the gods and they've always been here helping us, and you know, there's actually nothing to fear. You know, that seems like a very like old-fashioned, as Bruno said, like maybe sort of hopeful outlook on like, you know, I think maybe War of the Worlds like squares more thoroughly with my own understanding of what alien life might be like. But I don't think, you know, especially as we get later into his career, I don't think I begrudge him wanting to end things like on a hopeful note.
I did have some thought about this, if like when it comes to like how hopeful he went with this like UFO film, if like it's his full vision. And not saying that we're going to get a Disclosure Day sequel by any means, like I definitely don't think that, but I do think I do wonder if Spielberg is done talking to us about aliens.
This felt like him putting as fine a bow on it as he could. It did feel like what you were saying with the great movie trapped inside of a good one, that, you know, as hard as it is for me to admit, there may be a better, longer version of this where there is more connective tissue between, like, there's some of the stuff with Colin Firth and Coleman Domingo is a little undercooked. There's some backstory there that we just kind of get dumped on us when they have their one-on-one scene together, and the Firth of it all. I mean, that is the weakest. We've talked about how the narrative is sort of the weakest aspect of this movie, and that the story from point A to point B is kind of not what you're there for. It's just the ideas that it comes with. But the idea that, like, Josh O'Connor is like sneaking around all the 30 different, you know, military contractor guys, and they're all looking for him, but they can't see him, or they make the car go off the cliff, and they're like just right behind a rock that anyone, or when they're like surrounding the motel, and it's basic tradecraft to have someone there in the back. Like, these are little things I'm not going to nitpick, but you could tell that there was probably, whether they shot footage and then deleted it, or there was a version of the script, and it's been noted that there were like 47 versions of the script, that they just decided, we got to take that out because they're slashing our budget. We don't have enough to make the cartoon animals look any better than Tom and Jerry. We're up against a wall here. So there were clearly things that happened there. But with regards to the Spielberg and the optimism of it all, there was a very clear point in Spielberg's trajectory as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
In the 80s, he tried to be taken more seriously. You get Color Purple, you get Empire of the Sun. It all crescendos with Schindler's List, which is still, I think, his masterpiece.
Yeah,
we get
I mean, that's what
Private Ryan, we get Amistad. 9/11 happens, and then we get, Minority Report is not a very happy movie. Munich, of course, is not a very happy movie. And I think now, towards the end of his career, to your point, Riley, I think he's trying to kind of bounce back and show people, like, hey, I haven't changed. I was responding and reacting to the time. War of the Worlds is very much a parable for, like, the U.S. post 9/11. They were watching us. They were formulating plans. They were forming their attack, all of that stuff. Now he's back with stuff like, Fabelmans, West Side Story, even though it's a tragedy. There's a lighter touch to his stuff that I think he's trying to come back and almost sort of remind younger generations about before he's out the door.
And there's so much to the arc of his career, like in this movie, I think. And okay, so there's a lot of thoughts. Let's take a step back. I want to start by there's a lot of things that Deepak just said that I want to unpack. Here's the first one that I would like us to unpack. When he is making Close Encounters of the Third Kind, there is a Paul Schrader script, which you can find quotes from Spielberg online that basically assess it as the worst screenplay ever turned into a major Hollywood studio.
This is a Paul Schrader version of Close Encounters, or just a separate?
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah. And the fundamental, and so the reason I bring it up is that Close Encounters of the Third Kind is the first movie that Steven Spielberg had a writing credit on, and until Fabelmans was the only movie Steven Spielberg had a writing credit on.
Not true.
Like a screenplay. I'm sorry, I'm totally willing to be wrong on that. I really thought he did not write his movies, right? Doesn't he always get somebody else to do them?
He mostly does, but he wrote AI from the treatment that Kubrick gave him.
Yes.
And then he was also either a story or co-screenwriter on E.T.
Okay, yes. So, but AI is the one that I'm going to want to come back to in a second, because I think that there's a lot of AI in this one. But with Encounters, the thing that he and Schrader get into a disagreement on, and I understand the reason he kind of ends up writing it, is that Schrader says, I don't want to make a movie about a guy who would open a McDonald's franchise. Like, that type of character is not interesting to me. And Spielberg is like, that's exactly the guy that I want to make a movie about. Right? And if you think about Paul Schrader as a screenwriter and sort of like the movies that he has worked on and the stuff that he's been really sort of well known for.
Taxi Driver, to remind people.
Taxi Driver for one, yeah, sure. But even like his solo career, right? Like, didn't he? What was that movie he did a couple years deep back?
First Reformed with Ethan Hawke, and
right. He is very fascinated with the role of religion in our lives, right? And like faith, and I don't think he's an especially spiritual man, but I think like a lot of artists, he's sort of fascinated by a different type of living that he doesn't understand, right? So he makes movies about those types of people. I was so curious how much connection there was between like the Schrader treatment of Close Encounters and like what would aliens do to a spiritual person, right? Like, I was so curious, is this Paul Schrader's, is Josh O'Connor our man who wouldn't open the McDonald's who we've been waiting 60 years to see? I don't know. But
or it's Eve Hewson. The girlfriend character might have been pulled out from that and
absolutely could have been. Yeah. But I think any number of these characters, it's just so interesting to look at the characters who populate this movie and kind of compare them to the characters who populate Close Encounters of a Third Kind, which is a different movie made by a much younger Spielberg who has had a much different life experience up to that point. But like, those, like, the heroes of that movie are not heroes, right? They're like self-obsessed sort of freak show parents who can't even keep track of their kid and who are frankly interested in other things. And this movie is like the opposite in almost every way. It is, and the Fabelmans read of this movie is so in your face, but it is kind of a treatise, I think, like a screed telling people, be more connected to your family, like be closer to the people who are close to you. And as opposed to Close Encounters, which sort of glorifies like running away from your responsibility to chase your dreams.
Well, that's also obviously becoming a parent changes everyone. And he's been very open about the fact that he could not make he couldn't have police officers pointing guns at the kids in E.T. if he were to make that.
I completely agree.
Right. And then he tried to edit them into walkie-talkies for the 20th anniversary. It looked stupid, so he didn't do that
Lucas got on his ass.
Yeah.
Lucas was
you got George in your ear, anything bound to happen.
Yeah. No, but that's kind of what I'm saying, I guess, is like people are talking about this movie, and even I sort of set up this podcast being like, here's Spielberg back doing Aliens for a fifth time. But I guess part of what I'm trying to say is that at the stage in his career where he is, it's such a different movie. right? It is like just
Right.
completely. It is a world away from when Spielberg has done Aliens in the past, even if like the aesthetics are still the same. Even if he still has that big UFO coming through the cloud.
I don't even know if it's. I mean, I understand what you're saying from a thematic perspective that it's about connecting versus letting go, but in the kind of nuts and bolts of it, I actually don't know that it's that different. And even from a filmmaking standpoint, it's curious to see that they've kind of gotten progressively weaker. If that makes like Close Encounters is still the best of these five,
Right.
and then probably E.T., and then probably this, and then War of the Worlds and Crystal Skull being at the bottom, I think, by everyone's standards, whether you like the movie or not.
If you want to consider Crystal Skull for this ranking,
Right,
yeah.
they're interdimensional beings. We know what they are, whatever.
I know. I just mean that it's like a whole different franchise. It's not really like necessarily him trying to speak about aliens.
You could toss that out. There's still an argument to be made that they have gotten, even though his perspective has evolved and his craft has certainly improved, when it comes to this specific subject, it's almost like he had hit it out of the park the first time, and he's been coming at it from different angles, trying to get back there, and with varying degrees of success. I think War of the Worlds has more successful set pieces than Disclosure Day does, but Disclosure Day is a stronger overall movie.
Yeah.
I definitely think that technically Disclosure Day is better, and I still stand by my statement of originally saying that I think it's a spiritual successor to Close Encounters.
It definitely is.
Yeah,
like
I would push back on the technical elements, though. They're not as good.
But it's so much. That's just a hard. It's a challenging conversation even to have, right? When you look at 50 years of separation in terms of filmmaking ability, massively different scoped budgets, right? Like,
right.
He's holding a different place in the society. I mean, Bruno was goofing me on the chat because my Letterboxd review, I guess I didn't do my upfront Letterboxd review. Did I like the movie? Did I not like the movie? But my Letterboxd review was about how Steven Spielberg just absolutely stomped Kane Parsons and Obsession into the ground. But, partially that was a joke that I was making because, would you believe it, Steven Spielberg had maybe a slightly larger budget and access to slightly better movie-making materials in this film than the kid that was making the backrooms. And he also had, slightly more sophisticated material than the Steven Spielberg that made Close Encounters. So, like, I think I'm always going to be a person who looks at a small, scrappy crew who's, like, trying to get away with something, right? Who's like, maybe we can pull this off for the
Guerrilla
first time.
filmmaking. Yeah.
Right, they're out
let's
in the
desert.
desert.
Get the permits.
Right.
Yeah, let's just
get the camera. Like, I'm always going to say that's cooler, right? Because that's cool. That's like what art is. Steven Spielberg now peddles corporate art. It's a different thing. Like, I still think
peddles the government's art. He's soft launching Disclosure, Riley. Get it right.
Yeah, he's covering it up. But it's a different. How are you going to compare the two, right? Like running around the desert, shooting, getting cool shots that you're stealing from national parks versus having $250 million at your back. But I do think that this attitude question, wherever you come down on it, I think that it's something that I'm interested in about Steven Spielberg and Deepak. It's a conversation that I remember you and I having after Ready Player One. Because I was sort of like, I came out of Ready Player One, I remember being like, there is Spielberg indicting everything he's ever done, right? Like, this is Spielberg's movie. Yeah, I know, and this is why we disagreed. Yeah. Because I came out of Ready Player One being like, this is Spielberg washing his hands of this is him being like, I can't believe I've broken the culture in this way. He's the old man who like has to shut down the Oasis at the end because he's like so apologetic. And Deepak was like, no, what are you talking about? It's a celebration of like, you're welcome. I've grifted you this beautiful, incredible culture.
It's not just that. It's his autobiography. It's this kid from nowhere who is able to beat all the people who have the training and the school and everything. And not only that, he revolutionizes it to the point that it becomes his own thing at this point.
Right. And so this was the central conceit of our disagreement, I'm now remembering, was that you were like, he's the kid, and I was like, no, he's the old man. Yeah. Right. And in truth, perhaps he is both. Right. Maybe that's why he was drawn to the idea.
Well, he's been around for 50 years now, so
yeah, right. But I saw him so much more as the Rylance character, who was like at the end of his life and regretful that he had done these things.
You had that read on a few movies back. I remember even Oppenheimer. That was the big. You were like, these directors hate their shit.
They all just want to stop. Yeah, right.
They're like, why did I make The Dark Knight?
Oppenheimer was just about how The Dark Knight was a mistake. Yeah. But so anyway, my point being, so that was already where I was mentally like calibrated with Spielberg. And then going into Fabelmans, I was like, that's done. He's done. Last movie. There's no way he moves forward. And then he was like, no, I'm going to do Bullet. And we never like heard anything else about that Bullet remake he was supposed to be making.
Right.
And then he made Disclosure Day. And so I think like from my perspective, Disclosure Day it's really hard for me not to see it as like a career capping movie, just because like for the last 10 years I've been anticipating the Steven Spielberg career capper, and I've been reading every movie as the Steven Spielberg career capper. But I do think that this is like greatest hits, as you were saying, Deepak, parentheses complimentary. Like I don't see it as he's just playing the hits. I see it as like he's doing all the stuff he's very good at, and boy, he sure is good at it.
Right.
Like the way, as you said, the way the camera flies around throughout the whole thing. It's just incredible.
The elk turning into the alien while the camera's fixated on the eyeball is the shot that I keep coming back to. There's some crazy stuff in the train sequence. There's a whole wonder when they first get to the abandoned barn, and then he stops because he's looking at the elk outside the window that are staring at him. And yeah, there's
so many incredible, complex wonders that everybody has always said, like when you're working with Spielberg that way, he just shows up to set and figures it out.
Yeah.
He just like sort of looks around while you're doing rehearsals, and then he's like, okay, yeah, the camera has to go like this. Which is, of course, what I saw in Fabelman's, like the thing that got him bullied as a child was his ability to figure out camera shots like that.
The other interesting choice that he makes in this movie that is different than what he's done in the past is that there is no music during the set pieces.
Yeah.
The car chase out of the farmhouse and then the car chase with the train. There is not one note of music the entire time.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I like that or not, because it was also edited in a way that it was expecting the music set pieces there.
Well, I felt it to be incredibly compelling, Bruno, because of something that you had brought to my attention. Because I was going into this thinking it was such a Close Encounters thing, I was thinking of how prominent the music is thematically in Close Encounters. So when we kept not getting it, I just felt like I was being edged like the whole time. I was like, where's my Williams score, baby?
Well, in that movie they communicate with music. In this one they communicate with math. So maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
But this is also the Fabelman's reading of it, right? But before we get to that, I just want to say, is the Close Encounters riff in the score of this?
No, but the mountain is.
The mountain definitely is.
Yeah, in the news footage at the very end, you see it for like a split second.
Right, and earlier in the film, the first time that he calls Hugo, Como Domingo's character, when he dials the number, it's the same tone, just like the 5 tones.
Oh,
is that what it is? Yes,
I didn't realize. Yeah.
Or at least like it's not the full 5 tones, but it's like the first 3 or something.
That's funny.
And then I thought I heard it in Listen, which is the musical piece all the way at the very end. I thought I heard
the credits.
Yeah, I thought I heard the notes.
Maybe.
So anyway,
I was just taken aback by that ending.
Some really interesting musical stuff happening, just in general, sort of across the scope of the movie.
It's a really good score by Williams. I've been critical of him in recent years because I think he's just kind of recycling himself. I mean, he's more than earned the right to do so. So who the hell am I to tell him? But
well, when they
this
get
is
him
the best thing he's
like
done.
Another Star Wars or whatever, right? Like,
that's the thing. It's just been it's like the Meryl Streep of the composers branch at this point. They'll just nominate him for anything. But I think he would actually deserve it this time.
Should we do let's take a quick break. Let's give Jack the opportunity to contribute to the podcast again by what's everybody's favorite Williams score?
Oh, it's got to be the original Star Wars.
Original Star Wars as a contender. He's quite good at that.
Between the original Star Wars and Indiana Jones getting overplayed, I only like sort of recently broke into this, but I gotta say The Adventures of Tintin.
Oh yeah, yep. I mean,
Tintin's
I'm not gonna say anything against that movie.
Have been listening to that nonstop for the past week.
Catch Me If You Can is another really good one.
That is also a really good one. That's like my second best.
See, I am always a fan of the Williams non-Spielberg collabs, just because I feel like the Spielberg collaborations are such his more well-known stuff.
Right.
I got to call out the Superman score.
Oh, duh.
Superman score
rules. JFK.
And then when they brought it back for Gunn's movie last year, just like how incredibly effective it still was, right? It still works. All right, Jack, choose your big moment.
Oh, gotta be the Olympics.
Olympics is a great call, actually.
I mean, that was mostly a joke, but it is a good one.
I always think it's wild that he wrote the theme song for real athletes who do great, incredible
the actual
stuff.
Olympics. I mean, who else would you pick?
I forgot about that.
That's true.
No, that's
somewhere at NBC they were like, "We need music. Who do we get? Like, get the Spielberg guy."
Kid who did the Terminal.
Otherwise, I might say Jaws. I feel like that's maybe the most iconic sound in all of movies.
I recently
Jaws is
heard
good.
a story that I'm sure everyone has heard before, but that Williams, when he previewed the score for Jaws to Spielberg, he went to him and just played the 2 notes, and Spielberg thought he was like
Joking.
having a fun time
Having an
joking that he hadn't
episode.
done his work. He was like, "Here's what I got." Oh, bump. What do you think? And then the other one that I've heard about those two is that when Williams wrote, there's a really great documentary about Williams on Disney Plus, if you haven't watched it, that I would highly recommend to everybody. But that when he did the Indiana Jones theme, he went to Spielberg and was like, "All right, I got 2 options for you." And the first one went ba 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 ba, and then the second one went bum ba ba bum bum ba ba bum bum ba ba
And
bum.
just use both, yeah.
And Spielberg was like, "I love it. Do both."
My favorite story is Spielberg has made Schindler's List. He shows it to John Williams, being like, "You need to make music for this." John Williams goes 3 hours. He comes back out of it. He's like, I can't. I'm not good enough. You got to get someone else. And Spielberg's like, "I know. I wanted someone better, but they're all dead."
Wowzers. Well, there you go. You go to war with the army you have. But so I do think Williams doing some very interesting stuff in this movie, but I was a little bit like, let John Williams rest.
94?
I saw that for Tintin,
94.
he composed the score before the movie was animated itself, like just to give like cues to the animators, which I thought was really nice.
Oh, that's interesting.
For which one? This one?
Tintin.
For
Tintin.
Tintin,
That makes sense. Yeah.
yeah.
I really was captivated by, and I don't know if this was a Yanush thing or a Spielberg thing or a collaborative effort. I've not seen them do it before, but they might have done it in a prior movie. But the number of scenes in this movie where we are looking at an actor behind a pane of glass,
Yeah.
and you can see the actor's face as well as what they are looking at.
The Coleman Domingo
reflected
in
on the
between Firth and the other guy. That
the
Oh my
huge
God.
picture of Coleman Domingo on Firth, but then also Josh O'Connor driving the car and the road. That was like a 70s Scorsese shot. Like I was like, that's insane to me, just the amount of and he's obviously done it in Close Encounters with things like the news footage of Devil's Tower sort of in the corner behind Schreider freaking out. But like that's a whole different Dreyfus, pardon me. That's a whole different thing than like the moving, the car moving, like having to deal with the glass. I was like, oh, he is not messing around here, right? There are guys who get to be his age that start resting on their laurels. He is only going to continue to push it.
Or they're loyals.
Or they're loyals. Sometimes
But I
you
think
gotta
that's
rest
a
on
lot
your
of, and not to send us too far afield with like, this week there was the big brouhaha about Scorsese signing on to endorse that AI company. Yeah. A lot of these older guys, Scorsese, Spielberg, Cameron, even Lucas, Jackson, people like to crap on them these days because of like, oh, they used to make good stuff that looked organic and felt organic, and now all they want to do is play with the toys. Ang Lee also falls into this category. They spent so many years doing it the hard way. Doing it from the ground up, doing it where it took months and months of development. Now, if you can just speed through it and they have less and less time left, they're going to take all the toys and all the tools they can and try to figure out a new way to do things. And I don't necessarily begrudge them that at all.
I am not a guy who often says this phrase, so let's all enjoy it as it comes out of my mouth. In defense of Quentin Tarantino...
Paul Dano does suck.
Paul Dano can kiss my
I gotta get ready to clip this. Hold up.
There is a thing that happens to a director after a certain number of movies where they become more interested in the craft than the content.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Robert Zemeckis of the world who like are now really just interested in motion capture as a piece of technology. And they know that like they as a brand, as like a corporate entity, are powerful enough that they can like walk into a Hollywood studio and ask for a reasonable budget to be allowed to muck around with motion capture and do whatever they want.
I made Back to the Future and Forrest Gump. Give me my money.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so, and I do think that they're like, so Tarantino has his 10 movie limit. And I do think that it's like around there that maybe some guys start to go a little bit more like, oh, I think I just want to like play with the toys more than I want to like make the movie. So for some people, playing with the toys is making the movie, right? Like I think Spielberg's toys are like, I want to move the camera around, right? And we all just start freaking out because we're like, did you see how the camera was moving? But, you know, it's different for everybody. Lynch, you know, like he's definitely a guy who, as his movies went on, he got weirder and more esoteric, right? They were more quiet scenes with old men that didn't really seem to mean anything. But like that was to my liking. And so I was just always like, yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, some directors I think get more interesting as like again going back to Ang Lee. I think he's
Ang Lee's a great example.
As he has gotten more into the tech, and I mean, depending on how you like the Avatar movies, Cameron could even be said to be the same way. Like that, the tech and what they're going for sort of meld in a way that makes them potentially more interesting. I think that definitely holds true for Ang Lee.
I think that's true for a lot of our sort of legacy directors, but that's why I always enjoy when we have the opportunity to sort of celebrate a Curry Barker, right? Like a young up and coming director who is like hungrier than they're ever going to be again in their life, and they're like, let me just show you what I can do, baby. Because we'll get 10 movies into Curry Barker's career and we'll be like, shut up about One Wish Willows, oh my god, right? Or whatever it's going to be. Like obviously we don't know
he's
yet,
the be careful what you wish for guy. Okay,
right,
just like Shyamalan's the twist ending guy. Okay,
just like Tenet has to do something about time. What do you guys think the time thing's going to be in Odyssey? Do you think
it's just going to be out of order? It's just going to be his
for a long time.
He's going to be on the raft, and as he's on the raft, he's getting the memories of what happened, and then he ends up. Yeah, it's just going to be.
Yeah, certainly. There's a lot of like memory stuff.
Do you think he'll actually go to hell?
No, but I think the "Let's Go" line in the trailer is going to be "Let's fucking go."
Are you asking if the hell scenes will be practical?
Sorry, I am asking if they shot on location.
I was devastated to find out that the water planet in Interstellar was shot on Earth. That really pissed me off.
I could see like him having like a dream sequence that's is like him going to hell.
Yeah.
Isn't hell the part where the guys come out of the ground? Haven't we seen that in the trailer?
We've definitely seen
a
dead
that's
body.
true.
I haven't really watched the trailer, to be honest.
Oh, it shows it in front of every movie I've seen for the last like 4 months.
Yeah, how?
I usually am looking at the Alamo menu.
Oh, that makes sense. No, there's definitely shots where you see the. Yeah, I think if that's hell, it's been a while since I've read the book. So.
I always got to remember what that beer I like is called. The film stars Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth.
Oh yeah.
Coleman Domingo, Wyatt Russell.
Can we talk about Emily Blunt? She's really good.
Emily Blunt
absolutely
in this movie.
She does the Christoph Waltz speaking different languages thing really well. She has like a panic attack halfway through the movie.
The motor mouth, but also languages changing trick is very impressive.
Like
comedy to drama,
with, like, no facial reaction or anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I don't want to talk about that, but anyway.
Not to mention that it was like during oneers sometimes.
Oh yeah, there's a huge wonder when she first gets into the newsroom.
When she walks into the
and
newsroom.
then has to do like a whole conversation in Korean.
And so, of course, the central sort of set piece of the trailer has been Emily Blunt kind of guttural stuttering, right? This sort of like deep in her throat cackling that we all saw associated with the movie. I think there was even some early news coverage about the fact that Emily Blunt had a stutter as a child. And so it was sort of emotionally daring work for her as an actor.
Is that why Colin Firth was in the movie?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe he had to help her out with the King's Speech stuff. But
I thought you meant. Never mind. Not
they did like release a clip of her and.
No, guys, hold on. Jack's got a joke. Go ahead, Jackson.
I abandoned the joke. Do the real podcast.
Really wanted to hear the joke. Emily Blunt.
It was gonna be a penguin joke.
It's at the end. It's at the end of that newsroom oneer that she does the thing. That's the reason I brought it up.
Yeah.
Like we see that, and I thought it was going to be in the oneer, and I was like, "Holy shit!" If we do that like 7 minute, whatever it was, 2.5 minute oneer, and then at the end of it, she just goes, I'm gonna freak out. Like that's insane. And they do cut right before that to like which is probably fair to her.
So reportedly she did it herself. I don't know if that's actually true, but what I did read is that Spielberg had told her initially they were going to do that alien voice with some sort of AI augmentation, and she kind of pushed back on that. It was like, I think I can do it.
What I was gonna mention, like, there's a clip already online of like her and Spielberg in the sound booth coming up with the clicking together.
Oh, that's very cool.
That's crazy.
And that we are led to understand over the course of the movie is what it sounds like when you speak the glorious universal language of mathematics. And people who are good at math, like Josh O'Connor's character, can hear and understand this language beautifully. So, Jack, I was curious.
Yeah,
can
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
as our resident mathematician,
Your
Jack,
general
can you
language.
give us some insight into what these people were saying throughout the film?
Yeah, well, it was odd, eh? I'm not sure if that part made sense to me. I got
I don't need you to translate the math. I was wondering if this was why maybe you bumped on the movie more than the rest of us did. That like
no, I have a pretty good tolerance for like sci-fi nonsense as far as compared to like
Right.
real world science or technology. That was fine. I just didn't get. I guess like I feel like they were the point of them abducting and doing these experiments on Emily Blunt and what's his face,
Josh O'Connor.
Josh O'Connor, was to like make them able to translate for them. It felt like, but I guess I didn't get what Josh O'Connor's role in that was. Like, if she speak their language?
So
she can speak it, but she can't understand what they're saying. If that makes like they're speaking in math.
She doesn't even know she's speaking it, right?
Speaking it is the thing,
right?
Yeah.
Like she didn't know she
it
was
was more-
speaking
I don't know.
Korean. She didn't know she was speaking Russian.
Yeah,
Right.
No, Jack, I think you've set us up perfectly for the Fabelmans context discussion of this movie. Because, of course, having seen the Fabelmans now, and having a little bit more understanding of what Steven Spielberg's childhood is, I think it's very hard to not look at this movie and be like, oh, so these are his parents. Right? Which is like, I think has been in every movie he's ever made, probably. Like, if we were to go back and watch. I have always contended, you cannot watch Fabelmans and then watch any Steven Spielberg movie without just seeing the whole thing laid bare for you, right? Like, it's really just out there.
I don't think
what's
Fabelmans
in
is
his
that,
brain.
I don't know. Was Fabelmans really that incisive a look into his past?
I kind of agree with Ray that it was, to the point that, like,
I
once again, reiterating my notion of this being a great movie, trapped inside of a good one. This would have been a better movie if he had the screenwriter from Fabelmans.
Eric Roth.
Rather
I don't
than
know.
David Koepp.
I never thought Fabelmans was telling us anything we didn't already know.
Well, you know, there's this, and Deepak, maybe you are just more educated on Spielberg's life than I am, right?
Maybe.
Because there is, of course, the great James Lipton Inside the Actor Studio clip from when Close Encounters of the Third Kind came out, right? So this has sort of been on people's radar since the 70s. For anybody who hasn't seen that Lipton clip, and Bruno, maybe you can just drop it in right here because I won't do it justice. But the idea is that Spielberg is promoting, or he's on Inside the Actor Studio, and Lipton brings up the ending of Close Encounters and sort of asks, like, well, what did your parents do? And Spielberg says, my dad was a computer scientist and my mom was a musician. And Lipton points out to him, he's like, at the end of Close Encounters, we communicate to a society we cannot speak to by using math and music. Like, you get that that's you working something out, right? And Spielberg, like, you see him realize it in real time. It, like, comes over his face. And he's like, oh my God, thank you.
And this is like 20 years after Close Encounters.
The movie don't been out, man.
This is like, it's like a career retrospective thing they're doing.
I do need to find this clip now.
So put that clip in here instead of me explaining it. But I bring it up only to say that it's not like it's been a secret that Steven Spielberg had this life, right? That he is a child of divorce, sort of definitionally. He is like our most famous child of divorce. But I just think, for me, watching the movie and thinking about his life and his parents and all of that, like, I definitely saw these two characters as sort of stand-ins for his mom and dad, right? Like the person who had been gifted empathy powers by the aliens and the person who had been given math and science powers by the aliens,
or maybe also God.
And they had to come together to make Steven Spielberg, which is I don't know, Disclosure Day, I don't know. But so yeah, we
but not only that, sorry, just the Fabelmans aspect of it is the one thing I took away from that when watching the movie was the very literal manifestation of, like, we are creating my childhood home. Yes. We are going to walk me through my childhood. We are going to recreate these things in my childhood in order to elicit a very specific metaphysical reaction.
Yes. And in this movie, that, like, Coleman Domingo is in the background building the house because the whole scheme of everything.
I was really wondering that she was going to drop, and that was a funny reveal that it was like to do therapy on.
Yeah, but again, to Deepak's point, they have to do a fucking Fabelmans halfway through this movie. They have to build the house and take everybody there to get over the childhood trauma.
Yeah. I will not be anyone's religion was also an interesting line.
I thought that was, that reminded me of my Ready Player One read, where I was just like, God, this guy's so fucking done.
What did you want to say about AI?
I was reminded.
The film.
I was reminded of it because at the time it came out, it was so negatively received.
Yeah.
Yep.
And people spoke of it just horrible, like that
he
Steven
ruined
Spielberg had done
Kubrick's
something
movie.
wrong,
Yeah.
right, in making this movie. And I don't know how far away the tone of that film really is from the tone of this.
Yeah.
And like the ending,
the more you dive into AI, the more you realize the stuff that people didn't like actually came from Kubrick.
is the Kubrick stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really felt like there was a lot of AI, not so much literally, but just kind of in the like spirit of this movie.
Definitely.
And maybe, I don't know. Just like maybe in terms of him not giving a fuck, right? Like that he was just like, I'm just gonna make the movie I want to make. He seems like always, like entertainment always seems so high on his priority list, right? I want to make an entertaining movie for the audience, and this one was certainly entertaining. But like you said, right, like the decision to not put music in the set pieces, I was just like, oh, we're doing something interesting here for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
Anybody else?
John was just tired that day. He couldn't do it.
Yeah, good. He should take a nap.
Let him
He's been
rest.
working so hard.
I wonder if Spielberg's like, I need a really, really good suite of music for this car. It's like, I think it might be better without music.
Yeah, no, just not do anything.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
I do think. I
That
don't
wanted
know.
to do, it's almost did.
I don't think any of the action scenes sold me in Disclosure Day.
Yeah, I
You didn't like seeing the
disagree that
invisible
they were-
bodies being lifted up and thrown getting out of the way of the fire truck and all that?
No, those moments were funny and stuff, but those moments were scored. The moments
No,
that
those
were
were-
scored,
I'm not sure I even noticed
it for
the
me.
score, but
Driving
Okay.
through the house was interesting.
Yeah.
Driving
It
Through the
was.
House was funny.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm thinking of in particular: is do you remember the film? What was it called? The Nice Guys, I believe is the name.
Gosling.
Gosling and
Yes.
Not the Will Ferrell, Mark
Actually-
Wahlberg one.
I
correct.
actually have yet to see that one.
One of the things I like about that movie is that whenever a gun goes off, the bullet hits something. Like something in the room gets destroyed, or someone in the background gets shot, even if they don't hit the person they were trying to shoot.
yeah.
Like something happens in the story as a result of the gun going off. I'm not sure a gun goes off in Disclosure Day that impacts the story once.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. That was an issue that my girlfriend had with the movie as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. What did Holly have to say about it?
I don't know. She didn't like the movie at all, like one bit.
Oh, she didn't, just didn't dig it.
At one point, like during and like honestly, like on the surface, I am like being very positive about the movie. If we sat down and actually got into the nitty gritty of it, I would be getting a little bit more negative. But
Yeah.
during the scene when Emily Blunt is basically like breaking Josh O'Connor out and like just like empathically talking through everybody, like
That's
Holly
another
leaned
good-
over to me and goes, "This is getting kind of dumb."
It was interesting. It would be the fact that everyone was so like emotionally taken aback that they just couldn't even deal with her.
Right.
I thought was
Yeah.
really interesting. It was like an X-Man power, right? Like,
Yeah.
but even that, like you could imagine Jean Grey trying to pull something like this off, and it's sort
Right.
of not working right at the
Yeah.
end, right?
I was more okay with the stuff that she was doing than I was okay with like the alien device. I think that was a little bit too strong of a MacGuffin. How it could just basically do everything.
There is that.
Well, there
also.
was, I think what would have potentially driven it home a little bit more meaningfully, and not that I'm one to give notes to Mr. Spielberg, but like that one villain who's like Colin Firth's main deputy, who's the guy at the very end who actually is like still upset that they're letting this happen.
Yeah, but then
If
still
she-
just like leaves.
Yeah, well, what if, she's she's getting through all these people and her empath powers are working because she's apparently Mantis or whatever, and she gets to him and then there's nothing there because he doesn't have any empathy. Then what do you
Oh,
do?
sure.
Right.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Something like that.
Because I guarantee you there are people like this on Earth who just, it doesn't matter. They will not listen. They don't have empathy.
That's true.
You can't
And it's
get
almost
through
what
them.
it's almost what they try and do with Colin Farrell and the wife character, right? Where like
Colin Firth.
Pardon
Colin
me,
Firth.
Jack got me with that fucking penguin joke. Colin Firth and the wife character, where like he sees the wife and for a minute
up
he sort of like
face.
reacts, but you don't know that the wife's dead. And then later on, like they give you the information that the wife's dead, and then at the end he's sort of just like resigned. He's like, I won't
I kept waiting for the twist
he's
that
probably
Colin
seeing
Firth
his
was.
wife there at the desk, right?
I kept waiting for the reveal that Colin Firth was going to be Emily Blunt's father, who she thought had Parkinson's and passed away. Yeah.
But then she would have used her real voice.
Oh, yeah.
What do you guys make of, because this also happened in Backrooms, 2 non-American leads both doing the American accent? I thought that they handled it just fine. I'm not here to make fun of the performance or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm just curious where we are in 2026 with why can't we just let Emily Blunt be a British lady?
That's a fair point.
That might be more to do with like she's in Kansas City. She keeps like they talk about how she keeps bouncing around with the U.S. agent. They can't settle down in a place, and I don't know.
I think it also like Spielberg, when Spielberg is talking about like extraterrestrials, I almost said artificial intelligence.
Oh.
When Spielberg is talking about like UFOs and stuff like that, he means like specifically like in the U.S. usually. He wants to
that's
work
what I was just
on
gonna say. They get abducted
on
as
the
kids.
history of
Very
UFO
American.
work in the
Yeah,
United
he's
States.
interested in American
Yeah.
UFO stuff.
So
He
much
went
so
to
that,
Latin
like, the
America
whole-
once. They didn't like that.
No. Get him out.
I also did think Colin Firth was a little miscast here. I just kept not really vibing with what he... I kept thinking it would be more interesting if he and Domingo had switched roles.
That is actually a great call.
But the Colin
Holly
Firth
said that-
role felt more like a J.K. Simmons type role to me. I don't know why. What were you saying,
Holly
Bruno?
said that like there was nothing scary about him. It was just Colin Firth in a scarf. He looked like a grandpa.
Yeah, he was just like annoyed the whole time.
Yeah, well, and it is such an American movie, to your point, Bruno, right? Like the images of wrestling, right? What is supposed to make Firth intimidating is that he has like the trappings of the U.S. government behind, right? All these surveillance screens, right? The further away he gets
he's
from
in like the
command
Bourne
center-
war room there.
Yeah, right. And the further away he gets from that,
Best way to open a movie and get me hooked into it.
Oh yeah, just throw it in a wrestling ring.
That was not what I expected that movie to start with.
Yeah, and then if you really
Thought it
want
was
to get
Marty's
Riley
got
on
money
the hook,
troubles.
if you really want to get Riley on the hook, you immediately go from that wrestling footage to hyper-specific Washington D.C. geography.
I know. I saw this movie in Crystal City, like 20 minutes from the Pentagon, and there were a few scenes where people audibly laughed.
Yeah, I was
They spent
Occoquan,
so
Virginia.
much time on like just focusing on the wrestling event that I kept looking over. I was like, "Is this the right movie?
Is this a wrestling
Am I
movie?
missing something?" And then it finally panned into Josh O'Connor in the middle of the crowd. I was like, "Okay, cool."
We're in.
I do like a movie where, in the end, the media are the good guys. That was fun.
Yes.
I like the girl who played the anchor was very good. She felt I felt like she was having reasonably realistic responses to what was
I really
really
liked
good.
a lot of the newsroom team. And I agree with you, Jack, that I think it's part and parcel with Spielberg's maybe old-fashioned view of the world that the news can come through and save the day for us at the end.
But it was nice. I mean,
Also-
especially maybe these days, it was nice
There was
to
a-
see.
Yes.
This movie really should have had Emily Blunt go to Austin and sit down with Joe Rogan and be like, "Look,
She should have gone on Rogan.
here's what's happening."
They would have been so much easier if they had just gone on Rogan to talk about the aliens.
Right.
Movie got a B cinema score.
Yeah.
I think that sounds
There's
about
been-
right. I don't think it's a huge
I'm fine
general
with that.
audience movie.
There's been a lot of chatter online about some of the visual effects.
They're not good.
Should they be?
Yes.
I don't know if I agree.
If the premise of the movie is that aliens disguise themselves as animals to become more like whatever
Well, okay.
friendly or whatever to us, they're not disguised well.
Yeah. So
So you take it to mean they're walking around looking like CGI deer.
Yeah, like I'm like, oh, that's an alien elk
That's
right
an
there.
alien.
yeah, no, the animals were a little bit weird. I had a bigger issue with like the actual like reveal of the spaceships at the end. Like,
Oh, the
why
big
would-
money shot from the trailer.
Not the big money shot from the trailer, just like that whole like sort of like montage of like
The like
different-
montage of the. There's like one
footages and
scene
stuff,
in
like-
the found footage of ships flying away.
Was the idea was that like, and like this is probably maybe more indicative of like bad writing or something, but like was the idea that it was like different alien civilizations visiting them, because all of those ships were entirely different and like worked entirely different from each other.
Well, I don't know.
It
Cars
was-
are pretty.
and it just
Cars are pretty different.
It was just very inconsistent, at least.
I mean, one of them could be like a.
I mean, it's because they were all generated by AI.
Well, it's the idea, and this goes into corners of conversation that are askew of what we're really talking. But it's like the idea that when they come here, there are scout ships, there are warships, there are mining vessels. There are all sorts of things. There's different craft that are meant for different purposes, right?
Well, okay. We're almost at our end. Deepak's setting that up. You guys think there's aliens?
Like
Do you
in
think
real life?
aliens have been to Earth? Let's all say we
No.
probably agree that somewhere
No.
in the universe there is extraterrestrial life.
That
Have
I am
aliens been to
fine with. What I struggle with is the idea that there is intelligent life out there and that there is intelligent life that exists at the same time as us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I suppose
would, like,
maybe
find us.
in that is where the god of it all exists, right? Is this idea of like faith taking different look, right? Like the idea that maybe it takes sort of faith to believe that there is an intelligent life out there in the universe that isn't.
I kind of think they're already among us, guys.
Bruno's saying they're in. They're walking around looking like deer.
Yeah, no.
Bruno's like, there's this guy on the Spurs. You should see him. There's no
Bruno's
way.
taking the over.
Yeah. I don't think so. Probably. Here's what I don't like. I don't like the idea that like aliens built the pyramids.
No.
Sure.
That just seems sort of silly to me.
No.
But like, yeah, I guess I'm open to it. But I always feel like it's the sort of thing. Maybe for me, it's a lot like Star Wars, right? I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, where like I really like Star Wars, A New Hope, whatever you want to call it, in a vacuum.
Right.
But then the more information I start learning about Darth Vader, the less inclined I am to like Darth Vader until I get up to a point where he's just like a whiny teenager, and I'm like, why did I ever think this guy was cool? Maybe that's where I am with aliens. Like when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, they've been to Earth.
It's just none of
like
the theories make sense. If
The
they
more
came,
evidence people try and show me, the more I'm like, that's not true.
if they came here a long time ago and there was nothing here, then they would have stayed. If they came here a long time ago and they saw primitive humans and they're doing the prime directive, you shall not interfere thing, then why would they have given us the technology to build the Easter Island heads or whatever, right? Like none of the theories make any sense. So there's probably something out there. I doubt we've had any contact with it.
That makes sense to me. Where do we rank this in terms of movies we've seen this year and in terms of Steven Spielberg pictures?
In terms of this year, I have it number 3 behind Durandar and Durandar number 2, Obsession at number 1. And then in terms of Spielberg overall, I wrote in my Letterboxd review, I think it's too early to tell. I probably still need to see it a second time. But in terms of like his alien movies that we talked about, it's firmly middle of the road. It's not as good as Closer, E.T., but it's better than War of the Worlds and Crystal Skull. Yeah.
I guess this is 4th for this year for me. Behind 28 Years Later and before and ahead of Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. But I haven't seen as many movies as you guys have this year.
Remember that picture?
Yeah, I did think like when I was putting it up against the Spielberg movies that I've watched and the 2026 movies that I've watched, it's like interesting because 2026 it's number 4 on my list. I have Project Hail Mary number 1, Obsession number 2, and Bone Temple number 3. And right behind Disclosure Day, as far as movies go, I'll skip Wonder Man. There's the drama and the Punisher one shot, and then Backrooms. But then, and Spielberg, it's close. I'll admit it's close to like it's on the lower half of the list. It's behind a lot of stuff except Ready Player One, Terminal, and Twilight Zone movie.
Oh.
I mean, I'm just trying to go through my head, like just kind of napkin math. I definitely liked it more than Fabelmans. I liked it more than Lost World. I liked it more than Terminal, Crystal Skull, War of the Worlds, like I mentioned. So, I mean, it's probably his 3rd or 4th best movie of the 21st century, which is still pretty good.
I will admit, I still have a lot of Spielberg to still watch and rewatch.
You're cranking through it, though. I'm watching your Letterboxd.
Yeah, you're making moves, man.
Yeah. And I always like it because what I can tell Bruno has seen a movie is when my review of that movie gets a like on Letterboxd. and then the thing is, then I go look at what I said, and it's always something stupid. So like Bruno just liked my review of Minority Report, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I had some insightful thing to add to Bruno's experience of Minority Report. And I opened it up, and my review was, it's crazy that Max von Sydow plays a millennial in this movie.
Oh, that is weird.
I thought.
Yeah, right. See, that's what I'm saying.
That is insightful.
Be like,
that is insightful. What are you talking about?
I thought you were
DC
be like,
movie
I
too,
wish I was in the milk bath.
Yeah, right. Get me in there with those 3. Looks like a fun time. I will say it's his best movie since 2002.
No, it's not better than Bridge of Spies. It's not better than Munich.
I think
It's not better than Tintin.
I would say that in general, I would say Spielberg's sci-fi alien movie always better than Spielberg
Bridge of
quiet
Spies.
wartime movie.
Hmm.
So
I have
for my
yet to
own
get through quiet
tastes,
movies.
I am forced to go back to the era of Catch Me If You Can, Minority Report, and AI, where I say probably one of those three, I'm probably going to have a really hard time saying it's better than. I don't know that I can make a case that it's better than maybe any of them, let alone all of them. But for me, it is back to him being kind of in the form I prefer him in, whereas most of the 2000s, he's been making quiet movies about men in rooms, which usually I dig. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I love that shit usually. But I don't mind it when somebody runs around.
The mode you like Spielberg.
Right. I like
Fair
him
enough.
going bang zoom. I think this has been the Nerd Out.
I think so too.
I don't know that there's any more Nerd Out. I think this is the end of the Nerd Out.
Quick round off. What's everyone's top Spielberg?
Oh, E.T. I think E.T. might be the best movie anyone's ever made.
Wow.
I think E.T. might be just as close to a perfect film as you can get. It's a magic trick. That little puppet. Every single time I watch E.T., I get emotional for that little puppet, and it's a stupid little puppet that
See, that's
Jim
how
Henson
I feel
made.
about that's how I feel about Teddy and AI.
Well, there you go.
That being said, AI is only my third my third place. My top pick is Catch Me If You Can.
Am I allowed to divide them between like the serious Spielberg and the popcorn?
Yeah,
Spielberg?
sure. You can have a serious and a fun.
Yeah, I think his best serious is always going to be Schindler.
Sure.
And his best popcorn is, these are safe answers, but it's Raiders, or my own personal is going to be Tintin, so I'll say Tintin.
Yeah, go for Tintin. Follow the advice.
Gotta go for the Terminal.
I'm never going to leave airport.
I was selling
guy
Justin
juggling plates.
on the
That's all I
terminal
remember.
yesterday, Jack.
It's a silly movie.
It is literally so.
I just remember the
thing
Indian
is-
guy juggling the plates. That's the only thing I remember.
The thing is, like in the movie,
And then he
he's
runs
trapped-
out onto the tarmac to stop the plane to get arrested and be deported.
In the movie, he's trapped in the airport for 9 months. In real life, it was 18 years.
Yeah, no, he lived there for a long time.
That's nuts.
I mean, that guy might not have been mentally healthy. The more you look into it, the sadder it gets.
Right. Yeah.
Didn't that happen to Snowden? Didn't he get stuck at the airport for like an enormous amount of time?
The saddest part of the real life story that the terminal is based on is that real guy never even met Catherine Zeta-Jones.
You don't think he got
Schedule's a little different this week. We're doing the news later.
Oh yeah.
But we will be doing the news this week, so make sure you hang around. And if you liked this sort of more the looser vibe of us sort of goofing around and every once in a while coming back to the topic at hand, make sure you sign up for the Nerd Out. We're doing it even more often. We're working our way up by the end of the year. We're gonna be doing it every week. I promise you. But until then, nerdigo.com. Type in the email address, all the stuff, inbox, Zoom like magic. Until then, thanks so much for joining. And I don't do the normal sign off because it's the Nerd Out, so I just end the show. Goodbye.